Hey writers, happy Thursday. Just checking in to see how our Unit 1 culminating activities are going. Just wanted to reiterate a couple of key points in order to make sure that we're all as successful as possible on this Unit 1 culminating task as we can be. First thing I wanted to remind you is the importance of posting your rough drafts to the discussion board as early as possible. So again, you're not creating anything new in terms of a piece of work. If you do choose to submit the plot graph that you created, the expectation will be that you do develop that into an actual story written out in full form. However, the other assignments you could choose from are ones that you've already written in this unit. You're not expected to come up with something brand new off the top of your head. So you're just uploading that existing assignment to the discussion board with the intention of getting peer editing suggestions from your classmates. Please make sure that you're giving them tons of time in order to do this. So ideally, you would have uploaded your piece by now. And the reason for that is we want to give people as much time as possible to give us thoughtful, meaningful feedback that we can actually use to make productive changes to our final drafts. If you post at the last minute, you're either not going to get any comments, in which case you're not going to be able to show me that you were able to go through the editing process, or you're going to get really rushed comments that aren't going to make an impactful improvement to your final draft. So please post early and then start looking for opportunities to provide your own peer editing to your classmates. Remember, there's a minimum requirement of peer editing 2 people's work, but you absolutely will be encouraged and rewarded for giving meaningful, thoughtful feedback to more than 2 people's ideas and creativity. Next thing I wanted to remind you about is that I am going to be looking at both your rough and final draft. The reason for that is that there is a category on the rubric for this task that evaluates how effective you use the editing process. Obviously, that editing process has not been used effectively if there are absolutely no changes between your rough and final draft. I want to make sure that you're using this opportunity to actually take peer editing feedback into consideration, as well as going through that self-editing process to improve and develop your story. So I will be looking to see how far along your story has been developed since the rough draft stage. If you feel like you're not getting enough feedback, or if you have specific areas of your story that you're concerned about and you haven't received enough feedback on those areas, please make sure you're advocating for yourself. Post to the discussion board letting your classmates know that you need more from them, and let them know the specific areas that you're concerned about so that they can finely tune their feedback to specific areas that you can use their ideas. Last thing I wanted to remind you about is that it's often an overlooked portion of the task, but please don't forget that 200-word reflection that is to accompany your final draft when you go to submit your work to the Dropbox. So the reflection is intended to be done after you've done both the peer and self-editing process, and it's just reflecting on how that process went for you, what suggestions you found really helpful, which suggestions you thought maybe weren't going to actually help your piece, and why. And basically just justifying any of the changes that you made in both the peer and self-editing process and the impact that you feel these changes had on your final piece. The guiding questions for this reflection can also be found on the culminating activity lesson content page. So these are just a couple of tips and reminders about how to be successful on that culminating task. Of course, if you have any questions, you're welcome to either instant message or email me. And please remember that the deadline for this task is Wednesday at 9 a.m. So if it looks like you're not going to make that deadline, it's really important that you get in touch with me as soon as possible, and we'll go from there. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, instant message or email me, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys. Good luck. Bye-bye.